Hi, I wanted to make this video because I've been thinking, and this time I've been thinking about swearing. And the reason I've been thinking about swearing is because I've noticed more and more people treating swearing like it's just normal language. So I've been wondering if my opinion about swearing is becoming a bit outdated. So by swearing I mean using language that some people might find offensive. Some people call it cursing, some people call it effing and jeffing, but in general it means using words that are culturally thought of as offensive because of their connection to bodily functions or strong insults. So I'm wondering if people are becoming less offended by those sorts of words, and whether that means we're maybe getting closer to a situation where there's no such thing as a swear word. So I was raised in a working class background and I definitely wasn't sheltered from hearing any swearing, but I wasn't allowed to swear at home and my parents never swore in front of me. So swear words were definitely not considered to be everyday language. And so they became something that had quite a lot of impact on me when they were used. I think I still carry some of that approach, so I don't swear in front of my children, and I wouldn't like it if they swore in front of me. They don't mind that approach, but they also don't necessarily agree with it, and they think that maybe I take it all a bit too seriously. So, are they right? Well, I thought I'd make this video to work through my thoughts on swearing and then hopefully get to find out how other people feel about swearing, and that might help me decide whether I want to make any changes to my approach if I'm not keeping up with the more modern opinions about swearing. So I started by trying to think if there were any times when I do use swear words. And I think I did test out some swearing when I was much younger, maybe as a type of teenage rebellion, but probably just to see what it felt like and maybe to try and fit in with other people. But it didn't last, and as an adult, I seem to have turned into someone who doesn't really swear at all. And I don't really like hearing other people swear either. None of the people I watch on YouTube are swearers, and so I think my natural instinct is to avoid it. I do sometimes think in swear words in my head, and that's probably most common when I'm driving, and I might be shocked by what's going on around me. But even then, I don't really say it out loud. I do remember swearing out loud when my husband had a cardiac arrest in the night a few years ago. I'd shaken him a few times and was saying his name and trying to get him to wake up. But when I realised that he was more than just asleep, I think I said something like, "Holy effing poop." So maybe I do swear when the seriousness of the situation seems to call for it. But certainly in my usual day-to-day life, I don't tend to use any swear words from one day to the next. And I think the main reason for that is that I just don't feel the need to. I think swear words can offend people, and I don't want to do that. And I also think that swear words can sometimes come across as a bit of a cop-out if they're being used to try and win an argument. Because I can't help thinking that when people start swearing in that situation, it's because they've run out of other things to say. I think if I have a strong message I want to get across, I feel like the message gets less strong if I use swear words. So I don't want to offend people, and I don't think they add extra weight to an argument. So there really doesn't seem to be any reasons left to actually use swear words. So I don't. So why do other people use swear words? I try to pay attention so that I can try to understand. And I've certainly noticed that they are used when people get angry, and they also seem to use them when they're telling a joke. And people seem to also use them when they're trying to bond or connect with someone. But I've also noticed that people seem to use them for no apparent reason at all, but just because they're words. So, do swear words help people to communicate their anger? I mean, yes, I think they probably do. But if I'm on the receiving end of the swearing, I almost certainly won't carry on the conversation if the person is swearing. I've had that happen to me at work before, that someone has been swearing at me, so I told them that the conversation won't continue unless they stop swearing. And that did seem to work, but I wonder if really they felt entitled to swear to help express their anger. So, do swear words help people tell better jokes? Well, I'm not sure about that one. I think I might have a bit of double standards about that because some comedians I seem to be more willing to tolerate swearing than others, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just because the jokes are better and that makes me able to overlook the swearing. And do swear words help people to bond or connect with other people? I mean, I think yes, they probably do. The language people use can be quite a strong indicator of how much they have in common. And using swear words probably does show the people talking that they're culturally similar, so quite likely they'll have other things in common too. And then finally, what about the people who seem to use swear words for no reason at all? Why do they do that? Well, it seems to be because they don't even notice that they're swear words. They're not angry, they're not telling a joke, and they're not trying to bond with someone. They're just using them as everyday words. So is it because nobody's ever told them that those words could cause offence? I mean, it's hard to imagine that that's the case, but I can't really think of any other reason. Maybe it's no longer okay to ask someone to mind their language. I don't think I would say that to anyone, even though I might not agree with what they're doing. And I was out in a pub recently, which admittedly it wasn't a very nice pub, but it was supposed to be a family friendly place. And I was at the bar waiting to be served, and there was a woman and a child in front of me. And the child was messing around and being a bit silly, but nothing major. And then she knocked into something, and the woman's first reaction was to say, for sake, to the child. And she didn't say it in a telling off way, it was more in a joking way that she was just kind of acknowledging the behaviour. And then the woman looked at me as if to say, kids, eh? And, I gave her the same sort of look in return. But it left me wondering again if attitudes towards swearing have changed. And maybe I need to lighten up a bit. But I can't help wondering if that child will repeat that in school and then get told off for it and not realising what she did wrong. I mean, I know I would have been told off in school for that, but has it changed now, if opinions about swearing have changed? I do remember when my children were younger, I used to get quite stressed at the idea of them learning swear words because I found it quite hard to explain why some words were okay and others weren't. And I can remember one of my children thinking that stupid was a swear word, and I had to try and explain that it wasn't, even though it wasn't a very nice word. So maybe stupid should be a swear word because it's generally intended to be offensive. So it can be quite complicated for children to grasp that some words have a lot of power and can generate a big reaction from people, whereas others are much safer and won't generate any reaction at all. Whereas to a child, they all seem the same, just a bunch of sounds that people use to tell stories. But then, of course, they do hear all the swear words eventually, and they have to make their own decisions about whether or not they want to use those words. And if they do, in what context they want to use them. Some people don't seem to mind their children swearing, but I'd rather not hear my children using those words if I can help it. Maybe they use them when they're not with me. I just don't know. But I don't think I can imagine changing my mind about being okay with them swearing in front of me. So, those are my thoughts about swearing. But what do you think? Do you agree with my children that I'm taking it all a bit too seriously? Or do you agree with me that it's nicer not to use words that might offend people? I'd love to know what you think if you'd like to leave a comment. So I hope you've taken something useful from this video, but I think that's all for this time. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!